Hello, my name is Alex Stevens. I'm Professor in Criminal Justice at the University of Kent, and I've been asked to say a few words about a recent editorial I wrote for the British Medical Journal on medical cannabis. Cannabis has been banned since 1928. In 1971, it was placed in Schedule 1 of the Misuse of Drugs Act, alongside a list of other poisons which were considered to have no medical benefits whatsoever. This is despite the fact that for thousands of years, people have been using cannabis for the medical benefits they receive from it. Pressure has been growing in recent years due to a few high-profile cases, especially of children who've got forms of epilepsy which are very damaging and also resistant to other forms of treatment. And finally, earlier this year, the Home Office decided that they would move medical cannabis for human use from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 of the Misuse of Drugs regulations, which means that some doctors will be able to prescribe it. But since that occurred on the 1st of November of 2018, the NHS has made it clear that it intends that very few people indeed will actually be prescribed these type of products. There's a lot of concern around their diversion to the recreational market and whether the evidence is strong enough to back up their medical use and their prescription by doctors. Now, this raises a whole lot of interesting questions. Ethically, for example, is it right, given that patients have the right to refuse treatment under the doctrine of informed consent, should they not also have the right to decide what treatments they want to use for themselves to treat their own medical problems? Now, I'm not suggesting that people should be able to just pick any treatment they want and get it paid for by the NHS. But if people want to, for example, grow cannabis and use it to relieve suffering that they experience and to get the relief that they feel they get, should they be criminalised for that? Under the current law, growing or possessing cannabis for any use is a criminal offence. So in the editorial I wrote for the British Medical Journal, I referred to some of the evidence that suggests there may be medical benefits for cannabis. That evidence is at the moment weak and patchy, but certainly the experience of thousands of people who currently use cannabis to relieve symptoms of pain, of spasticity related to multiple sclerosis, or epilepsy amongst their children, is that there is some benefit for cannabis. And my argument is that if people experience these benefits, they should not be criminalised for seeking them out by using cannabis, which is why I suggest we should move cannabis not just into Schedule 2 alongside opioid drugs which can kill people, but rather to Schedule 4 Part 2 of the Misuse of Drugs regulations alongside anabolic steroids, which means that there would still be quite severe prescriptions, limitations on their prescription, but people would not be criminalised for possessing them for their own personal use.